The world is filled with shadows and secrets, mysteries that defy logic, hidden in plain sight. For every bright screen and familiar face, there's something darker lurking beneath. These stories are not just fiction, they're warnings. So sit back, but don't get comfortable. What follows might stay with you forever. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more scary stories. This story was sent in by a guy named Lucas from Oregon. He and his girlfriend moved into a small one-bedroom apartment earlier this year, and what happened there left them both with trauma they haven't recovered from. They called it the Echo Room. It started off as nothing more than a quirky feature. The apartment was older, tucked above a bakery in a quiet part of town. It had uneven floors, old fixtures, and strange acoustics. Lucas said there was one spot in the hallway between the bedroom and bathroom that echoed, no matter what you said or how soft you said it. He first noticed it when he yawned loudly and heard it bounce back at him a few seconds later. It wasn't instant like a normal echo. It had delay. He clapped once. 4 seconds later, it clapped back. He thought it was funny. His girlfriend, Nina, joked it was the apartment's built-in voice assistant. They even made a game out of it, standing in the hallway and saying things like, "What's for dinner?" and then laughing when the echo replied awkwardly several seconds later. But then it started getting weird. The first time they got creeped out was on a rainy Thursday night. Lucas had just finished brushing his teeth when he called out to Nina, who was in the bedroom. "Hey, can you grab my phone charger?" She didn't answer. Then 4 seconds later from the echo spot came his own voice. "Hey, can you grab my phone charger?" Only, it wasn't exactly the same. It was distorted, lower, like his voice had aged or come from someone trying to imitate him. He laughed it off, but something felt off. Later that night, while they were in bed, they heard a sound, a whisper, from the hallway. It was faint, wet sounding, like someone had whispered into a microphone too close. Lucas grabbed a bat from under the bed and checked the apartment. Nothing was there. Windows locked. Door secured. They figured it was just the plumbing or the neighbor's TV. But when they passed through the echo spot on their way back, it responded, "Don't leave." That was the first time it said something they hadn't. The next few days, the echoes got worse. They stopped mimicking and started talking back. Lucas tried testing it. He stood in the spot and said, "Who are you?" The response came 4 seconds later. "I'm what you buried." He asked it again. No answer. Nina begged him to stop, said he was provoking it, whatever it was. But Lucas couldn't let it go. Something about it felt personal, familiar. Then, the echoes started coming, even when they didn't speak. Like the apartment remembered past conversations. They'd hear their own arguments from days earlier. A private moment repeated out loud in the hallway. Once, they were watching TV when the echo spot repeated a conversation they'd had a week before, word for word. "You promised we'd leave by April," Nina's voice repeated. Lucas muted the TV. They sat in silence as the echo continued. "You promised. You lied." But neither of them had said that part. Not ever. One night, Nina left to stay at her sister's. Lucas stayed behind. He said he needed to figure it out. He set up his phone to record the hallway overnight. When he checked it the next morning, there were 3 hours of nothing. Just static hum and creaky wood. Until 3:12 a.m. That's when something stepped into frame. It looked like him. Same pajamas, same posture. But its movements were off, slightly delayed, glitchy, like a badly rendered 3D model. The figure stared into the hallway, tilted its head, and whispered, "I remember what you did." Then it walked backward, into the bedroom. Lucas swears he never left the bed that night. He called Nina, begged her to come back. She refused. He tried deleting the video, but it wouldn't delete. Every time he hit remove, it reappeared with a new timestamp, sometimes hours into the future. That's when he knew the echo wasn't just repeating, it was learning. A week later, Lucas packed their things. He was done. The echo was whispering all the time now, while he was cooking, showering, trying to sleep. It whispered things he'd never told anyone, things only he knew. You left her. You lied to your father. You were the one who hit the dog. And sometimes, it used Nina's voice, but distorted, slurred, like her mouth was full of water. Why did you let me leave? Come back to bed, Lucas. Before he left, he decided to try one last time. He stood in the hallway and asked, "What do you want from me?" No response. He was about to walk away when he heard it. "I want to be real again." He doesn't know what that meant. Neither do I. He moved out 2 days later. Nina never came back. The apartment's still listed. Cheap rent, no takers. One of the newer tenants posted a review last month. Said the unit had weird acoustics. Said she heard a man's voice late at night, even though she lives alone. And one line from her review still sticks with me. The hallway talks to me. Sometimes it knows things I don't. This story was sent in by a guy named Darren, a 28-year-old who worked as an overnight radio host at a small-town station in upstate New York. His show was simple: midnight to 4 a.m., mostly music, the occasional caller, and a bit of creepy storytelling for the night owls and truckers tuning in. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. But after what happened last summer, Darren doesn't work in radio anymore. It started with a phone call. It was a Thursday, around 3:30 a.m. Darren had just finished telling a ghost story and was playing a lo-fi ambient track when the studio line rang. Caller ID showed unknown, which wasn't uncommon. He figured it was a bored listener, or maybe someone with a story of their own. He answered like he always did. "You're on with Darren Midnight Frequency. What's keeping you up tonight?" There was a pause. A long one. Then static. And just as Darren was about to hang up, a voice crackled through. Not loud. Not angry. Just hollow. "Do you believe in death before dying?" Darren froze. There was something unnatural in the voice, like it was being played backward and forward at the same time. He tried to ask who it was, but the line went dead. He shrugged it off, made a joke on air about creepy prank calls, and moved on. The next night, it happened again. Same time. 3:33 a.m., same unknown number, same voice. "She's not asleep. She's under the floor." Darren didn't laugh that time. Over the next week, the calls kept coming. Always at 3:33 a.m. Always from a blocked number. Always a single sentence. Vague, eerie, but specific enough to make your stomach twist. "The red house at the end of Elm. The basement cries when it rains. Look behind the third locker at Ridgeway High. The wall is hollow." Darren began saving the recordings, planning to make a compilation for the show. But then the news started catching up to the calls. A week after the Red House message, a body was found in a flooded basement, tied, gagged, decomposed. 2 days after the locker call, janitors at a nearby high school discovered human bones inside a false wall behind the gym lockers. At first, Darren thought it was coincidence, or maybe a listener leaving creepy clues to real cold cases. until the caller started getting personal. One night, the voice said, "You never told your mother what happened in the woods." Darren hadn't. No one knew what happened when he was 14. The night he and his cousin Mark got lost camping. The night Mark fell from a ravine, and Darren lied, said he slipped. Truth is, Darren had pushed him in a fit of rage. Mark died. No one ever knew. Now someone did. The voice called again, "Confess, or you'll hear him next." The next night, Darren played the call live for his listeners. He asked if anyone recognized the voice. Some people thought it was edited audio. Others were convinced it was a hoax. But then a woman called in. Said she recognized the phrase from an old local legend, something called dead air. "A cursed frequency," she said. An urban myth about a radio channel that didn't transmit from any tower, but from a place. A frequency that could hear things, secrets, lies, confessions, and sometimes it would talk back. She warned Darren to stop taking the calls. He didn't listen. The next night, Darren received 3 calls. The first said, "You have 36 hours. Tick." The second said, "He's in the booth with you." Darren spun around so fast he knocked over his coffee. Nothing. The third call didn't say anything, just breathing, for 3 minutes straight. Then the static turned into music, a warped, reversed lullaby he remembered from childhood. The one his mom used to hum to Mark. Darren pulled his headphones off, heart racing. He looked down and noticed something carved into the desk. Fresh. Confess. The carving hadn't been there before. He was sure of it. He told the station manager everything. They checked the call logs. The strange part? None of the calls were on record. No incoming numbers. No timestamps. As far as the station was concerned, the phone never rang. He checked the audio files. All corrupted. Every recording of the voice. Gone. Replaced with white noise and the sound of a ticking clock. He went home and unplugged his landline, turned off his cell, left his radios off. Still at 3:33 a.m., his television turned on by itself. The screen flickered with static, and the voice returned. "You waited too long." The TV shut off, and the lights in his apartment died. He sat in darkness for hours, too afraid to move. No one's seen Darren since that night. His studio chair was found overturned. The last broadcast went dead at 3:34 a.m. All that was left on the airwaves was static, until 3:36. When the voice returned, live, just one sentence. "The dead speak in silence. Can you hear them now?" Listeners still report hearing strange whispers when tuning in to 103.1 at exactly 3:33 a.m. There's no official station there anymore, but sometimes the air isn't dead. This story was sent in by a guy named Jeremy, and it messed me up for a while after I read it. Jeremy and his friends decided to go completely off-grid for a weekend camping trip last summer. No phones, no Wi-Fi, no distractions. Just 5 guys in their mid-20s trying to relive the freedom of their high school years. Beer, campfires, and stargazing. They picked a dense patch of woods in northern Vermont, somewhere off an old trailhead that hadn't seen foot traffic in years. Remote, isolated, and, according to the ranger station, completely out of cell range. Perfect. At least that's what they thought. They brought everything. Tents, food, a few cheap walkie-talkies for safety, and one extra toy, Jeremy's drone. He'd gotten a new one a few months earlier and was dying to show it off. It had a 4K camera and thermal imaging, and he figured it would be fun to fly over the forest during the day and get some cool aerial footage. The first day, was perfect. They set up camp near a clearing, cracked open some beers, and grilled hot dogs while the sun set behind the trees. That night was quiet. No animals, no wind, just the sound of the fire crackling. But the next morning, something felt off. Jeremy launched the drone just after sunrise, letting it hover above the tree line to get a few slow panoramic shots. But when he reviewed the footage later, he noticed something weird. For about 3 seconds, the drone's camera caught a figure just outside the clearing. It looked like a man, tall, pale, standing between two trees. The figure didn't move, didn't wave, didn't blink. It just stood there watching the campsite. Then, on the next frame, it was gone. Jeremy didn't say anything to the group right away. He thought maybe it was a glitch. Sunlight hitting the lens weird. But he saved the clip to his laptop anyway. That night, the mood shifted. The woods felt too quiet. Even the insects seemed to be holding their breath. Around midnight, one of the guys, Dylan, got up to take a leak behind the tents. He came back 5 minutes later, pale and shaking. He said he saw someone in the woods. "Just standing there," Dylan whispered, like they were waiting. They thought he was drunk, but then they all heard it. A twig snapping. Close. Too close. They turned their flashlights toward the trees, but there was nothing. Just darkness. Jeremy launched the drone again, desperate to use its night vision. He sent it above the camp, controlling it via a handheld screen. What he saw made his stomach turn. From above, there were 6 figures around the camp, but only 5 of them were part of their group. The 6 stood behind one of the tents, perfectly still. Long limbs, no shirt, barefoot. It was facing the tent. Jeremy ran out and screamed for everyone to stay inside. But by the time he got there, the figure was gone again. And the drone? It crashed. Signal lost. They packed up at sunrise, didn't even eat. Just threw their gear into backpacks and bolted down the trail. That's when they realized something terrifying. They weren't on the same trail anymore. None of them could find the markers they passed the day before. The GPS on their emergency beacon wasn't working, and the trees looked off, like they'd been moved. Dylan said he felt like they were walking in circles. That's when they found the first symbol, carved deep into a tree trunk. A circle with 6 vertical slashes inside. They found another one 20 feet down the trail. Then another. Every tree they passed, same symbol. As if they weren't leaving the forest. They were being led deeper. At dusk, they gave up and made camp again. No fire, no light. Jeremy opened his laptop to review the drone footage one more time. The last video before the crash was just static, until the final 5 seconds. It showed a close-up shot of one of the tents. Only this time, the tent unzipped on its own, and a hand reached inside. A long, pale hand with no fingernails. Jeremy shut the laptop. That night, they all slept in shifts. Knives clutched tight, backs pressed together. But sometime after 3 a.m., Dylan vanished. No sound, no scream, just gone. They searched until morning, and then finally found a dirt road. It took hours, but they flagged down a passing ranger. Only 3 of them made it out. They never found Dylan. Never found the drone either. But here's the part that really chills me. 3 weeks after the trip, Jeremy got a notification from the drone app on his phone. The drone had connected to Wi-Fi. Location. Unknown. And someone had uploaded a video. It was titled, "They Never Left." He clicked it. It showed Dylan, naked, eyes wide, mouth open like he was screaming, but no sound came out. He was staring into the drone camera. Behind him stood the same tall figure from the woods. Then the screen cut to black. Jeremy turned it into the police. They said it was probably edited. A hoax. Maybe even a sick joke. But when they traced the upload, it came from inside Jeremy's apartment. And the final frame of the video showed someone standing at his bedroom door. To this day, the police never found Dylan, and Jeremy doesn't go offline anymore. Because when he did, they found him. This story was sent in by a girl named Kayla, who moved into a small off-campus studio apartment last year. She was a sophomore at a state university in the Midwest, living on her own for the first time. Rent was dirt cheap. The place was 5 minutes from campus, and the landlord didn't ask many questions. It seemed like a great deal, until she found the crawl space. The apartment was in an old 3-story house that had been converted into rental units. Hers was the top floor, a cramped attic-style room with slanted ceilings, one small window, and creaky wooden floors. It wasn't much, but it was hers, and after sharing a dorm the year before, she loved the privacy. The first few nights were uneventful. She unpacked, hung fairy lights, stocked her mini fridge, and settled into her routine. But something about the place felt off. The kind of off you don't notice at first. It creeps in. Like how her phone would never charge above 66%. Or how the bathroom mirror would fog up with strange, smudged fingerprints, even when she hadn't used the shower. She chalked it up to quirks of an old building, until the noises started. It began as soft knocking, from inside the walls. Just past midnight, usually. A faint tap, 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 like someone was trying to get her attention. Sometimes it sounded like it came from behind the fridge. Other times, near the closet. One night she knocked back, just to see what would happen. Nothing. But an hour later, her bedroom light flickered off, and wouldn't turn back on for the rest of the night. She emailed the landlord about the wiring. He didn't respond. Then she found the envelope, slid under her door. No stamp, no return address. Inside was a single Polaroid photo. It showed her apartment, but not as it looked now. It was empty, unfurnished, dark. In the center stood a woman, long hair, black hoodie, staring at the wall with her back to the camera. Kayla thought it was a prank, maybe left by a previous tenant who still had a key. She texted a few friends, but no one fessed up. She almost threw the photo away. But on the back, someone had written 3 words. I never left. That night, she heard something under the floorboards, like dragging. She grabbed a flashlight and checked the closet, which had a weird slanted floor due to the attic shape. That's when she noticed a square cutout panel tucked into the corner, almost invisible beneath an old rug. She pried it open. A crawl space. Inside, she found a dusty pile of clothes, a cracked phone, and something worse. A stack of VHS tapes, each one labeled with dates, all from the previous year, and all marked with the same name, Lena. She borrowed a friend's old VHS player and watched the first tape. It showed the apartment from a high angle, like it was filmed from a corner. The woman from the Polaroid was in it, Lena. She was eating cereal, reading, sleeping. But she never looked at the camera, and she never left the apartment. As Kayla watched more tapes, things got stranger. Lena started pacing in the footage, talking to the walls. She covered the mirrors with towels, then the windows. One tape showed her scratching at the closet floor, the very panel Kayla had found. Another showed her staring at the ceiling for 3 straight hours. The final tape was dated 4 days before Kayla moved in. It ended with Lena crawling into the closet and whispering, "I'll be quiet now." Then static. Kayla called the police. They searched the crawl space, found no body, no signs of recent activity, just the tapes and old trash. She demanded answers from the landlord. He admitted there had been a tenant named Lena, said she'd vanished mid-lease, left behind a mess. Police were called, but no foul play was ever confirmed. He claimed he didn't want to scare off future renters. Kayla was furious, but she didn't move out. She couldn't afford to. Instead, she threw away the tapes, changed the locks, tried to forget. A few nights later, her phone buzzed. Motion detected, living room camera. She'd installed a cheap indoor cam after finding the crawl space, just to be safe. She opened the app. Her heart stopped. There in the middle of the screen stood a woman, long hair, black hoodie, staring directly at the camera. She looked exactly like Lena. But the footage was from 2 minutes ago. Kayla was still awake, still in the room, and she hadn't seen anyone. She turned around. The room was empty, but when she looked back at the screen, the woman was smiling. Kayla moved out the next morning. She never went back. 3 months later, she got a package, no return address. Inside was a VHS tape. On it, written in black marker, "Next tenant." She never watched it, but sometimes, late at night, she swears she hears tapping at her closet wall. And just last week, she found a new Polaroid under her door. It showed her in bed, asleep, with someone standing behind the curtain. And on the back, another note. "I never left either." This story was sent in by a girl named Haley. And if you're the type to obsess over your online presence, or trust that profile pictures are just innocent snapshots, you might want to stop reading now. Because her story starts with something we all do, updating a photo, and ends with something that still hasn't been explained. Haley was 26, recently single, and decided to rejoin the world of online dating. She wasn't a huge fan of it, but figured she'd at least give it a shot. She downloaded a few apps and set up a simple profile, bio, age, and a new profile picture she had taken the night before in her apartment. It was casual, just her smiling, no filter, dimly lit by her floor lamp. She uploaded it. And that's when things started to go wrong. Within minutes, her inbox was flooded, not with messages from potential matches, but warnings. People she didn't know were messaging her on social media, even emailing her through the address linked to her Instagram. Messages like, "Where did you get that picture? Are you trying to be funny? That photo was from a crime scene. I saw her obituary, that's not you." Haley was completely confused. One person sent a link, a news article. She clicked it. The headline read, "Unidentified woman found in abandoned house. Investigators seek public's help." The article showed a blurry photo of a dimly lit bedroom, and in the middle there was a person sitting upright on a stained mattress. Same pose, same expression, same clothes, same face, her exact profile picture. Haley stared at it for minutes. It wasn't similar. It wasn't a look-alike. It was the exact image. Only it was dated April 17th, 2004. Haley hadn't even been a teenager then. She assumed it was some sort of internet hoax. Maybe someone took her photo, photoshopped it into an old crime scene, and created fake news articles. But no one else had that photo. She took it the night before, alone, on her phone. She checked the original file. It was there, time-stamped, untouched. But when she reverse image searched it, it showed up. Over dozens of forums, cold case threads, and true crime blogs. Each one claiming to have found the same face in different places. Sometimes as a blurry figure in a window behind a murder victim. Other times, part of a photo recovered from a burned house. One blog claimed the face was seen in surveillance footage the night a family went missing from a motel in Nebraska. Same smile, same dim lighting, same floor lamp in the background, except none of those photos were taken by her. She tried deleting the picture from all her accounts, but it wouldn't disappear. Every time she logged in, it was back. Her apps crashed whenever she tried to change it, and then she got the voicemail. From a blocked number, a woman's voice, software, distorted. "I had your face before you. You took it. Now I take you." That night, she stayed at a friend's place. She was too afraid to be alone. But around 3:12 a.m., her phone buzzed with a FaceTime call from her own number. She didn't answer. It rang again and again. Her friend took the phone and hit decline. That's when the lights went out. Every bulb in the apartment, dead. When they turned them back on, Haley's phone was sitting on the floor, open to the camera app, recording. And in the last frame of the video, there were two people standing in the room. Haley and someone else, a woman. Same face, same smile, standing right behind her. Haley went to the police. They said it was likely a hacker or a stalker, but the tech department couldn't trace the call. They couldn't explain why the phone's internal clock reset itself to April 17th, 2004, the same date as the original photo. They told her to delete her accounts. She did. Factory reset everything. Bought a new phone, new laptop, moved to a new apartment. No more dating apps, no more social media. For a while, things were quiet. Until one day, she opened her Gmail and saw a new message. No sender, no subject. Just one image attached. It was a photo of her, sleeping, from the corner of her bedroom. Same lamp in the background. Same angle as the original photo. And this time, there was a message below the image. "You can't delete me. I already wore your face. Now I wear your life." Haley doesn't take selfies anymore. She covers her mirrors at night. And if you ask her for a picture, she'll say she doesn't have any because the last one she ever took wasn't hers to begin with.